向左转，右腿小看击。向前看，右腿手势。 2025这里。本案首席法官，全體隊列列隊完畢，請你檢閱。預來會長，要來脫毛刀。2025这里。首席法官你好，請批准全體隊列經過檢閱台向你致敬並且離場。批准。要來向右轉，要來會長。
。 歡迎蒞臨香港大會堂。為免影響演出，請將手提電話轉為靜音模式，並關掉其他響鬧或發光嘅裝置。為咗令演出者不受干擾，使觀眾得到愉快嘅觀演體驗，演出過程中嚴禁拍照、錄音或錄影。喺唔影響其他觀眾嘅情況下，謝幕時可以拍照留念。多謝合作。
Welcome to the Hong Kong City Hall. To avoid disturbance, please set your mobile phone on silent mode and switch off other beeping or light-emitting devices. To ensure an undistracted performance by artists and an enjoyable experience for the audience, photo taking, audio or video recording is strictly prohibited when the performance is in progress, while photo taking without affecting others is allowed at curtain calls. Thank you for your cooperation.
欢迎莅临香港大会堂。为免影响演出，请把手机调至静音状态，并且关掉其他响闹或发光的装置。为了让演出者不受干扰，让观众获得愉快的观演体验，演出过程中严禁拍照、录音或录像。在不影响其他观众的情况下，谢幕时可以拍照留念。感谢您的配合。
主禮人士現在進場，請各位繼續就座。Please remain seated when the official party proceeds to the stage. 主禮人士現在進場，請各位繼續就座。 現在準備就唱國歌，請各位肅立。Please stand solemnly for the playing and singing of the national anthem. 現在準備奏唱國歌，請各位肅立。請各位就座 ，Please be seated。請各位就座。
Secretary for Justice, Chairman of the Bar, President of the Law Society, fellow judges, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Hong Kong judiciary, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the ceremonial opening of the legal year. This important occasion reminds our community of the essential role of an independent judiciary to the administration of justice and the rule of law. It also provides us with an opportunity to reaffirm the values that have sustained our legal and judicial system through decades of change, and to look ahead to the challenges and opportunities that await us. The rule of law is the foundation on which Hong Kong has built its reputation as an international financial hub, a safe and fair place to do business, and a city where the rights of the ordinary people are protected. It is an essential support of our one country, two systems framework, which guarantees that Hong Kong maintains its distinct legal system, separate from, yet intrinsically linked to that in the mainland. This is a unique arrangement that requires constant effort and determined commitment to sustain, with the Hong Kong judiciary playing a key role in its success by upholding the rule of law. Far from being an abstract concept, the rule of law is very much a practical principle that depends on the integrity of our judicial institutions and the daily work of the legal profession. It is not simply about laws being written, but about laws being applied fairly, consistently, and independently. Indeed, Hong Kong's legal and judicial system has earned its international recognition, not just because of the quality of its laws, but also for the quality of the courts and the legal professionals who serve them. Lying at the heart of the rule of law in Hong Kong is judicial independence. Article 85 of the Basic Law specifically guarantees that the judicial power shall be exercised independently, free from any interference. This is not a mere form of words, but a constitutional mandate that has always been and continues to be jealously upheld by our courts. Indeed, judicial independence is most clearly demonstrated through the daily works of judges, who decide cases based on the law and evidence, without regard to extraneous considerations, whether political or personal, or public sentiment. Our system of law cannot command public confidence unless judges remain faithful to their commitment to do justice according to law. And despite the challenges of recent years, the judiciary continues to discharge that duty with integrity and impartiality. Under our common law system, the legal principles that guide and inform decisions are just as important as the decisions themselves. Like their counterparts in other mature common law jurisdictions, our courts operate on legal principles that are applied consistently, whether in cases concerning commercial disputes, family law, criminal prosecution, or matters of public law. The introduction of the Hong Kong national security law, which is now complemented by local legislation enacted pursuant to Article 23 of the Basic Law, has brought with it cases that attract heightened attention, particularly because of their political sensitivity. Almost by definition, national security law is highly context-dependent and tailored to the specific needs of each society. Whilst the need to safeguard national security is universal, the specific content of such laws is largely shaped by society's prevailing security considerations, its historical experiences, and the threats that it is facing. These background matters, which vary widely between societies, are essentials to any fair assessment of national security laws. Hong Kong's laws are no different. However, it is necessary to recognize that in our courts, the same principles of law apply in national security cases as in others. The presumption of innocence, the requirement that guilt be proved beyond reasonable doubt, and the right to a fair trial are all essential safeguards that remain firmly in place. Indeed, they are specifically affirmed under Article 5 of the National Security Law, as well as Section 2 of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance. Our courts do not merely pay lip service to these fundamental principles. Judges at all levels are expected to, and indeed do adhere to them in the adjudication of cases. As mentioned, the rule of law in Hong Kong exists within a unique constitutional framework, the one country, two systems arrangement. Undoubtedly, this arrangement brings with it occasional complexities, which are perhaps inevitable in a design where two different legal and political traditions coexist within a single sovereign state. Viewed in this light, the national security laws simply reflect the one country aspect of this framework. But it is the two systems part of the notion that entrusts the courts with the responsibility of applying these laws to safeguard national security in a manner consistent with Hong Kong's separate system under the Basic Law. The role of our courts is to address any difficulties with fidelity to the law and Hong Kong's common law tradition. The task is not without its challenges, but it is one that the judiciary is well equipped to meet. Admittedly, as in other jurisdictions, a tension often exists between protecting basic rights and safeguarding national security, both of which the judiciary is firmly committed to upholding. The protection of basic rights is not a simplistic, one-dimensional issue. It often involves a delicate balancing act between individual freedoms and collective security, between the rights of the person and the responsibilities of the state. Striking the right balance can be challenging, and outcomes in individual cases may be contentious at times. Nor is the interpretation or application of newly enacted statutory provisions always straightforward. However, it is one thing to disagree with a legal provision or a court decision in applying it, but entirely another to suggest that the justice system has been undermined by political expectations or societal atmosphere. Judges, far from being designed to serve political ends, are bound by legal principles. Courts are not arbiters of public opinion, nor are they an extension of the prosecution authority. They are, above all, guardians of the law. Their decisions are reasoned, published, and subject to appeal. It is through this process that the rule of law is upheld. Indeed, the courts remain accountable through the legal process itself. Not only are hearings conducted in the open, but decisions are also subject to appeal, and the appellate courts, including the Court of Final Appeal, continue to provide oversight and ensure that the law is applied fairly and consistently. This process of scrutiny is a fundamental aspect of judicial accountability. It ensures that legal arguments are fully tested, that errors can be corrected, and that the law is developed and applied in a principled and coherent manner. The right to appeal, along with the transparency of judicial reasoning, is a safeguard that reinforces public confidence in the administration of justice. In Hong Kong, the court's constitutional role in administering justice fairly and in accordance with law is greatly assisted by a strong and independent bar that our community is fortunate to have. Barristers have a special role as defenders of the rights and interests of their clients. Whether representing clients in constitutional challenges, judicial reviews, national security matters, or in more routine commercial disputes, barristers, along with their instructing solicitors, help ensure that the law is applied consistently and accurately. The two branches of the legal profession serve as a powerful counterbalance to any potential overreach, assisting the courts to administer justice fairly and impartially. From a broader viewpoint, national security cases form but a small fraction of the work of the courts. The judiciary is tasked with administering justice across a wide range of areas that are critical to the proper functioning of society and the economy. To take the Court of Final Appeal as an example, in the past 2 years alone, it has adjudicated on cases of considerable significance across diverse areas of law. These include, for instance, anti-money laundering legislation, arbitration, equality claims involving same-sex relationships, insolvency, legal professional privilege in legal aid applications, and serious criminal matters such as murder and unlawful assemblies. The court has also heard appeals concerning building management, jury directions in criminal trials, magistracy appeals, revenue legislation, and trust law. This breadth of subject matter, which is even more evident at the High Court level, attests to the judiciary's central role in dispensing justice across nearly all facets of societal activity. But not only that, the jurisprudence of the Hong Kong courts continues to command high respect in other common law jurisdictions. In a recent judgment, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council sitting in London referred to and discussed no fewer than 6 Hong Kong decisions from the past few years, including one from the Court of Final Appeal decided in 2023, when determining insolvency issues raised in an appeal before it. This is mentioned not for reasons of self-promotion. After all, our courts regularly refer to overseas judgments, but to emphasize that Hong Kong is a sophisticated and vibrant common law jurisdiction, with the remit of its courts extending well beyond politically charged cases. The courts are engaged in the steady day-to-day work of resolving disputes, protecting rights, and ensuring the proper functioning of Hong Kong as a highly developed modern city that over 7 million people call home. Some of our court's decisions, no doubt, have significant jurisprudential value, attracting attention and citation in common law courts abroad. But many decisions are more mundane, yet no less important, as they address the everyday legal concerns of ordinary people and businesses. To focus solely on high-profile cases concerning national security or public order, and to draw sweeping conclusions about the state of the rule of law or judicial independence in Hong Kong from such a narrow perspective is to misunderstand the full scope of the judiciary's role and work. It is also to overlook the fact that the rule of law in Hong Kong continues to operate robustly across a wide spectrum of legal areas, touching upon the daily lives and activities of individuals, businesses, and investors, both international and local. This brings me to the recent departures of some of our overseas non-permanent judges from the Court of Final Appeal, a development which, understandably, has caused concerns in some quarters. The historical rationale for the presence of overseas judges in our highest court is clear. In the 1990s, Hong Kong lacked senior judges with experience at the final appellate level. This posed a challenge for filling the judicial positions to be created following the establishment of the Court of Final Appeal in 1997 to replace the Privy Council in London as Hong Kong's ultimate appeal court. The appointment of distinguished overseas jurists as part-time, non-permanent judges to our highest court therefore addressed the inevitable shortfall and served the further purpose of instilling confidence in Hong Kong's judicial system in the post-1997 era. Over the years, the contributions of these overseas judges to the work of the court and to the upholding of the rule of law have been immense and have been rightly recognized. During this same period, through the efforts of many, the Court of Final Appeal has firmly established itself as a prominent final appellate court within the common law world. Now that more than 27 years have passed since 1st July 1997, Hong Kong has undoubtedly developed and nurtured sufficient legal and judicial talent to fill the highest judicial offices, even in their entirety. Nonetheless, the system of overseas non-permanent judges remains of considerable value. Not only do our judges continue to benefit from the wisdom of these eminent jurists from abroad, but their presence also naturally enhances international confidence in our legal system. It is against this backdrop that the retirements of long-serving overseas judges due to age and other personal reasons, as well as the early departures of a handful of foreign judges on account of political or other considerations must be understood. In this regard, the effect of the escalating geopolitical tensions in recent years cannot be ignored. Indeed, the orchestrated harassment and pressures to which some of our overseas judges have recently been subjected are as deplorable as they are indicative of how politicized the office of an overseas non-permanent judge on the court has now become. And it is this broader context, reflective of the underlying geopolitical tensions, that must inform an impartial observer's understanding of the current situation. The presence of overseas judges has long stood as a symbol of Hong Kong's commitments to legal excellence and judicial independence. It is unfortunate that a few of these judges have felt unable to continue their service. They are, of course, entitled to their views, and their decisions ought to be respected. However, their premature departures do not mean a weakening of the quality or the independence of the judiciary. It is true that, given the current geopolitical headwinds, recruiting overseas judges with the right stature and experience may be less straightforward than it once was. After all, overseas judges are appointed to our highest court on account of their acknowledged eminence and legal expertise, not merely to sustain the system of overseas judges for its own sake. Still, the Court of Final Appeal continues to include both highly esteemed overseas and local non-permanent judges, and their continued participation alongside their full-time colleagues speaks to the enduring strength and resilience of the court. However, far more important than all of this, the judiciary is broader than any individuals. Judges come and go, but our system is built on legal principles, judicial precedents, and a robust structure that will continue to function. The presence or absence of individual judges, whilst important in its own right, will not undermine the integrity of the system. Our judges are well-trained, experienced, and capable of upholding the law, as they consistently demonstrate. This brings me back to our legal profession. The Hong Kong Bar Association, which recently marked its 75th anniversary, together with the solicitors branch of the profession, has long been a staunch defender of the rule of law. The judiciary has consistently recognized the importance of replenishing its ranks with talented, experienced, and principled practitioners from private practice. Many of Hong Kong's finest judges have come from the senior ranks of the bar, bringing with them extensive experience in litigation and a strong understanding not only of the law, but also of our common law tradition and values. The many ways in which the bar has contributed to the rule of law have been widely acknowledged, and rightly so. However, Perhaps at no other time in its long history has the bar's support for the rule of law, specifically through its senior members stepping up to serve on the bench, been more urgently needed than now. For the judiciary must continue to be infused with the expertise and dedication of those who have spent years in private practice, ensuring that the courts remain strong, independent, and trusted by both the legal profession and the public. At the same time, it is only right to point out that the judiciary has a capable pool of talent from within. Many of our judges have risen through the ranks with years of experience in handling complex legal issues. They have demonstrated their competence and their commitment to upholding the rule of law. Indeed, the judiciary's internal strength plays an essential role in maintaining continuity, stability, and confidence in our legal system. This internal talent, together with continued efforts to attract suitable appointments from the legal profession, will ensure that the Hong Kong judiciary remains equipped, both in terms of quality and capacity, to meet the challenges ahead. In recent years, Hong Kong has faced significant challenges, whether politically, socially, or economically. These challenges have tested the resilience of our legal system and the strengths of our institutions. But the judiciary has stood firm, continuing to uphold the rule of law and ensuring that legal processes remain transparent, fair, and independent. It is in these times of uncertainty that the judiciary's role becomes even more critical. The judiciary will continue to adapt to the evolving demands of our society, embrace new technologies, address novel issues, and ensure that it remains relevant and effective in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. It only remains for me to wish you and your families good health and much happiness in 2025. The Chinese New Year being just days away, I also wish everyone here a very blessed Chinese New Year. Thank you.
Chief Justice, members of the Judiciary, Chairman of the Bar Association, President of Law Society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The common law system of Hong Kong is undoubtedly one of the most important and distinctive institutional strengths of Hong Kong under the principle of one country, two systems. In President Xi Jinping's speech, delivered on the 20th of December 2024, at the celebration of the 25th anniversary of Macau's return to the motherland and the inaugural ceremony of the sixth-term government of the Macau Special Administrative Region, he stated that one country, two systems is a good system that sustains the long-term prosperity and stability of Hong Kong and Macau. It's a good system that facilitates endeavor to build China into a great country and achieve national rejuvenation. It's a good system for ensuring peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit between different social systems, and therefore, it must be adhered to in the long run. As an important legal measure, proving that the principle of one country, two systems will not change, on the 5th of July 2024, the extension of government leases ordinance has come into operation. Under that ordinance, subject to a few exceptions, government leases which would expire on or after the 5th of July 2024 without any right of renewal may be renewed by operation of law for 50 years without any additional premium, which means that the term of these leases can be extended beyond 2047. The new mechanism has removed doubts with regard to the so-called 2047 deadline and brought peace of mind to property owners, investors, and financial institutions. In the same speech delivered in Macau, President Xi also pointed out that 4 crucial values are embodied in the principle of one country, two systems, namely peace, inclusiveness, openness, and sharing. They're relevant to not only China, but also the whole world. These important values are indeed manifested by the common law system of Hong Kong, which serve not only the interests of Hong Kong SAR and China, but also the international community. Let me start with peace. Events taking place in other parts of the world at this very moment remind us that peace and security cannot be taken for granted. Peace and security are indeed essential elements of the rule of law. The enactment of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance in March 2024 discharged Hong Kong's constitutional duty under Article 23 of the Basic Law, which had remained unfulfilled for over 26 years. The ordinance aims to ensure that the hard-won peace and stability that we enjoy today can and will be preserved so that we can focus on social and economic development. Unless security is first safeguarded, it will be impossible for Hong Kong to utilize its unique strength at full strength under the principle of one country, two systems, and serve as an international financial, shipping, and trade center. Section 2 of the ordinance expressly stated that one of the principles on which the ordinance is based is that human rights are to be respected and protected, the rights and freedoms enjoyed under the Basic Law, the provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, as applied to Hong Kong, are to be protected in accordance with the law. Detailed provisions which aim at giving effect to this principle have been put into the ordinance after consulting the relevant jurisprudence in other leading common law jurisdictions. It's vital to bear in mind that the enforcement of the national security law is subject to the supervision of the Hong Kong court exercising its independent judicial power. While the concept of judicial deference to the executive assessment of national security is well established under common law, the Court of Appeal decided an important judgment in May 2024 that there are at least 3 areas where the court has been held to be qualified to make its own judgment while giving the executive deference. First, where a fundamental right of the person affected by the measure is engaged. Second, where the requirement of a fair trial is an issue. And third, where the question of open justice is raised. Having regard to the important function of the Hong Kong judiciary in this respect, anyone who intimidates judges handling national security cases or interfere with the relevant judicial proceedings in whatsoever manner cannot be genuinely concerned about the rule of law in Hong Kong. Peace entails resolving dispute by peaceful means, which is yet another essential ingredient of the rule of law. Hong Kong is keen on promoting and facilitating the resolution of not only domestic, but also international dispute by peaceful means. Negotiation on the Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization for Mediation will conclude in Hong Kong in October last year, and a signing ceremony for the Convention will be held in Hong Kong this year. The International Organization for Mediation, in short IOMAC, will be the world's first intergovernmental international legal organization dedicated to resolving international disputes of different natures through mediation. Most importantly, the state parties to the negotiation have agreed that the headquarters of IOMAC shall be established in Hong Kong. The conversion of the old Wan Chai police station into the headquarters of IOMAC will be completed in mid-2025 in anticipation that it may start operation by the end of this year. Moving on to inclusiveness and openness. One of the most distinctive characteristics of Hong Kong's judicial system is that, as provided by the Basic Law, judges may be recruited from other common law jurisdictions. The departure of some foreign non-permanent judges of the Court of Final Appeal on different grounds in 2024 has attracted public attention. But one must not overlook that Lord Neuberger, the former President of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, has agreed to extend his term for 3 years on 1st of March 2024, and Justice Alsop, the former Chief Justice of the Federal Court of Australia, was appointed for a term of 3 years from 24th of May 2024. And most recently, Lord Hoffman, the longest-serving foreign MPJ first appointed back in 1998, has agreed to be reappointed for another 3 years from 12th of January this year. The participation of eminent foreign judges in the work of the CFA does not only benefit Hong Kong, but also the common law world as a whole. Let me give a most recent example. On the 23rd of December 2024, the CFA delivered a landmark judgment written by Lord Hoffman, with whom other judges agree, which resolved an extremely important and difficult legal question of whether a claim to recover property obtained by an agent breaching his fiduciary duty is subject to a 6-year limitation period by a provision in the trustee ordinance. This statutory provision was based on a provision in the UK Limitation Act, and many other common law jurisdictions have the same provision. The judgment of the CFA has now become the most authoritative statement of the law in this respect, which will undoubtedly be relevant to and apply in other common law jurisdictions. It's most regrettable that there were attempts, many from overseas, to exert improper pressures on foreign judges to dissociate themselves from the Hong Kong court. These attempts pose a threat to not only the rule of law in Hong Kong, but also the development of common law in general. The government is in full support of the judiciary and has continuous efforts to appoint and retain foreign MPJs in future. Turning to sharing, Hong Kong has always been an international center of capacity building and experience sharing among legal professionals from different jurisdictions. And again, let me give one example. The 26th Congress of the International Council for Commercial Arbitration, in short ICCA, known as the Olympics of International Commercial Arbitration, was held between the 5th and 8th of May 2024 in Hong Kong. The Congress had attracted more than 1,400 delegates from over 70 jurisdictions, making it the best attended ICCA Congress ever. To strengthen our efforts in this respect, the Department of Justice established the Hong Kong International Legal Talents Training Academy in November 2024. The Academy is advised by an expert committee, which consists of international legal experts, such as the Secretary General of the Hague Conference on Private International Law and the Secretary General of the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law. And let me give one example of our plan for this year in this respect. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges that mankind is facing. In March 2025, the Department of Justice and the United Nations Commission of International Trade Law will co-organize a conference on international trade law and climate change. The Hong Kong government will continue to do its best to utilize Hong Kong's common law system to uphold and promote the important values of peace, inclusiveness, openness, and sharing both locally and internationally. But the government cannot and is not doing it alone. The judiciary, the Department of Justice, and the 2 independent legal professional bodies represent the 4 main pillars supporting Hong Kong's legal system. While we perform different roles and functions, we share the same strong sense of mission and the same high degree of determination to maintain and enhance the rule of law in Hong Kong. I am confident that our solidarity will enable us to overcome whatever challenges that may lie ahead. I wish to conclude by wishing you and your families a Happy New Year, and as the Chinese New Year is approaching, also a Happy Chinese New Year of the Snake. Thank you very much.
Chief Justice, Secretary for Justice, President of the Law Society, judges, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Hong Kong Bar Association, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you for attending our ceremonial opening of the legal year. The English counterparts to our ceremony can be traced back to the Middle Ages, when judges gathered to pray for guidance at the start of the legal term. The ceremonial opening in Hong Kong itself dates back to the early years of the 20th century. Usually held on a Monday in January each year, our ceremonial opening does not include prayer, though a joint religious service for the new legal year often takes place earlier on the same day. All of this reflects the enduring value of our gathering as a community, to look back on the past year and to share our vision for the future. As chairman of the bar, my predecessors and I have had the privilege of sharing our thoughts on this important occasion throughout the years. 2024 was an eventful year for the legal community in Hong Kong on multiple fronts. We started the year with the consultation and enactment of the legislation under Article 23 of the Basic Law, which I shall return to in a moment. In addition, trials of a number of high-profile national security cases have either been concluded or are ongoing. Some of the defendants have been exercising their rights to appeal, and these cases have generated significant public interest. The past year also saw the departure of a number of our overseas non-permanent judges of the Court of Final Appeal, triggering renewed debate over the composition of our apex court. On a more upbeat note, the appointment of Mr. Justice Alsop to the top court in May was warmly welcomed by the profession. While much press attention has focused on criminal cases over the past year, our courts have continued their vital role in the development of jurisprudence in a wide range of other important legal areas. This is reflected in the work of the Court of Final Appeal, which has had a remarkable year, ranging from clarifying the law on quis-close trust to considering the constitutionality of our anti-money laundering legislation. Our top court continues to hand down groundbreaking decisions that are cited across the common law world. In 2 major judgments that have been welcomed by different sectors of our community, in November last year, our apex court ruled that same-sex couples should have equal access to public housing as other families, whilst also affirming equality of inheritance rights for the minority group. 2024 was also a year where the bar had the opportunity to reflect on its role and responsibilities in Hong Kong. This was a year where we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Hong Kong Bar Association. Although barristers, as a separate branch of the profession, were already practicing in Hong Kong as early as 1844, our professional association was not formed until 1949. Our anniversary was not only a good reason to wine and dine, but also gave us the opportunity to reflect and to remind ourselves of our core values and roles as a professional body. An important aspect of our work is to look after the well-being of our young members and the fostering of a sustainable environment for them to develop and flourish as independent advocates. To this end, it is important to remind our young members that the bar is no mere business or enterprise, but a profession, a calling and responsibility to something of far greater value than just ourselves and our practice. As the Honourable Mr. Andrew Lee, the first Chief Justice of the HKSAR, wrote recently in our publication, an independent legal profession is essential to the rule of law. The challenge for the leaders and members of the bar is to adapt and manage change in a forward-looking and dynamic way. As has been widely observed, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive. It is those who are most adaptable to changes that are able to survive. But at the same time, it is of cardinal importance that the bar must remain dedicated to and unwavering in upholding its fundamental values as an honourable profession, with its deep commitment to the rule of law, with an independent judiciary, and ensuring justice for all. The bar has taken its societal role most seriously throughout the years. A recent example is the role our members played in the consultation process on our domestic national security legislation under Article 23 of the Basic Law. In early 2024, our government discharged an important constitutional obligation that was written into our Basic Law before 1997. During the consultation, the government proactively sought the views of the legal profession, and the bar played an active role in commenting on the legislative proposal. Our report commented on every major aspect of the proposed legislation and sought to highlight the similarities and differences with comparable legislations in other jurisdictions. I thank our members who worked around the clock on this project, and also staff from our Secretariat who worked tirelessly in producing our report within the month. At the end of the day, some of our views were taken on board and others were not. Providing candid, constructive comments is of course important and part of the very purpose and value of consultation. We had no hesitation in supporting the Secretary for Justice when his position was agreeable. At the same time, we would likely have failed in our duties if we saw eye to eye with him on each and every subject. Going forward, I trust that our views will continue to be treated with respect when we disagree, keeping in mind as always that we're each deeply committed to the well-being and flourishing of our community. As we are all aware, Hong Kong faces some stiff macroeconomic headwinds. As our government grapples with these challenges, we should not forget that the common law and our machinery of justice are pivotal to the success of Hong Kong and to our constitutional order. In this regard, Article 109 of the Basic Law notably requires the continued provision of an appropriate economic and legal environment for the maintenance of Hong Kong's status as an international financial center. One cannot here underestimate the impact of our judicial system on our economy. Lord Hodge, the Deputy President of the UK Supreme Court, had this to say in a speech he delivered in 2022. The importance of good governance through a commitment to rule of law is widely recognized as underpinning economic prosperity. Scholars have identified the central role that legal institutions play in enabling long-term development above and beyond other factors that are associated with economic success. The quality of a country's legal institution, in particular, the independence and competence of the judiciary, are important to investment levels, innovations, and an economy's GDP growth. As the only common law jurisdiction in our country, our judicial system has a unique role to play beyond the special administrative region. We should do our very best as the legal hub and the connector of the Greater Bay Area and the wider region. Over the past year, critics outside Hong Kong continue to criticize our justice system. Some of the comments were no doubt unfair, some possibly malafide, and aimed at undermining the prosperity of our city. Most of the criticisms concern national security-related matters stemming from the incidents that took place in 2019. These criticisms are often met with rebuttals by our administration using equally strong language. There is no doubt that protecting national security is of fundamental importance and is also essential for the economic prosperity and the well-being of our people. This explains why law enforcement agencies are given extensive power under our national security legislation, with many such powers found in other jurisdictions recognized for their protection of fundamental rights. But at the end of the day, action speaks louder than words. Our administration must demonstrate that we're a jurisdiction where the rights of our citizens are respected. Ministers and public officers at all levels must be able to show that their powers are exercised in good faith, fairly, and for the purpose for which the powers are conferred. Businesses must have the confidence that they will be dealt with on a principled and not an arbitrary basis. In this regard, powers under our new national security legislation should be used in a considered and proportionate manner. This is not only vital to the success of our economy and the well-being of our people, it is also intricately linked to the success of one country, two systems, which is vital to the future of Hong Kong. Looking ahead, 2025 will no doubt be another eventful year. There will certainly be headwinds in the complex geopolitical environment. I remain confident that these challenges will eventually blow over and Hong Kong will not only survive, but thrive as it always has. The Bar will continue to play our part in showing our commitment to the rule of law and in supporting the work of our independent judiciary in serving the people of this city. Finally, as some of you are aware, the Bar will be led by a new leadership by the end of this week. As our new chairman and the new vice chairman, our new chairman and the two vice chairmen are all leading members of the inner bar who are much respected by the profession. I can only say with confidence that insofar as your new chairman is concerned, our members have got themselves a much-deserved upgrade. The bar will be led by someone who is not only professionally accomplished, but is also somebody who understands the true values and duties of the profession. I wish my learned friend and the new council the best of luck in the coming year. There will be moments when our new chairman will say to himself that taking up this job was a dumb decision, but he will get over it. What I'm sure is that our members will continue to support him in the same way that you have very kindly supported myself over the past 3 years. It remains for me to wish everyone a healthy and happy year of snake.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice, Secretary for Justice, Chairman of the Bar, members of the Judiciary, members of the legal profession, distinguished guests, both local and overseas, ladies and gentlemen. The ceremonial opening of the legal year is the most important annual event for the legal profession. May I first extend a warm welcome to all distinguished guests and express my gratitude to all those who have traveled long distance to support us. I'm immensely honored to address you in my capacity as President of the Law Society of Hong Kong for the first time. In the inaugural speech of our first Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region on 1st of July 1997, Mr. Tung Chee Kwa said, quote, "The resumption of sovereignty over Hong Kong under one country, two systems is an ingenious and novel concept. We, as one nation and one people, will implement the one country, two systems concept. It is entirely within our prerogative to make it work." End of quote. Around that time, an international best-selling news magazine proclaimed on its cover the death of Hong Kong, with a conclusion that Hong Kong would lose its position as an international financial center after the handover. Looking back now, for more than 2.5 decades. Although one country, two systems faced many challenges, it has worked well. Hong Kong ranked third globally and first in the Asia-Pacific region in the Global Financial Centers Index, GFCI, 36 report jointly published in September 2024 by Seth Yan from the United Kingdom and the China Development Institute from Shenzhen. The Basic Law of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China, our constitutional document, has provided the constitutional basis upon which Hong Kong has continued to protect its capitalist system, as well as the way of life and the rights and freedoms of its residents. With regard to the legal system, Hong Kong continues to be a common law jurisdiction under the principle of one country, two systems. The Basic Law expressly provides that the laws previously enforced, including the common law, shall be maintained, except for any that contravene the Basic Law and subject to any amendment by the legislature. Judicial independence is expressly provided under Article 85 of the Basic Law, and the common law continues to thrive. President Xi has reassured time and again, and recently at the inauguration ceremony of the sixth-term administration of the Macau Special Administrative Region on 20 December 2024, that the policy of one country, two systems is here to stay. President Xi has nevertheless looked at one country, two systems has entered a new era. Under this new era, the legal profession, which forms the backbone of society, should reflect on its role and contribute its fair share in making the unique policy of one country, two systems shine even brighter than before. In recent years, geopolitics has intensified. Some parties have made unsubstantiated comments that seek to influence public opinion regarding our well-established systems, which can overshadow the realities of our governance. Since assuming the presidency in June 2024, I have conducted official visits to various countries and cities, including the UK, Australia, and France. Throughout these discussions, Hong Kong has constantly been a focal point. While some comments arise from a genuine interest in the current situation in Hong Kong, it is regrettable that many remarks can be oversimplified and rooted in misconceptions, often shaped by incomplete or, at times, biased media coverage. I call upon every member of our profession to take on, in this new era, an educating role. Whenever a suitable opportunity arises, to correct misunderstandings of our governance systems reflected in some public commentaries. Let me clarify. For instance, some serious misinformation regarding alleged unchecked executive power under one country, two systems. Under the Basic Law, the functions and powers of the executive authorities of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region are expressly provided in Article 62. Further, Article 64 of the Basic Law provides that the executive authorities must abide by law and be accountable to the Legislative Council. Where the executive authorities are alleged to have improperly acted beyond their legal power, there are legal procedures which aggrieved parties can adopt to seek remedies in accordance with the law. Examples of the legal procedures taken out to challenge executive actions and decisions are abundant in Hong Kong. Judgments of these legal challenges with detailed reasoning are all publicly accessible. Another educational point that I would like to highlight is equality before the law, a core principle embodied in the rule of law as articulated in Article 25 of the Basic Law. Under this principle, all individuals who breach the law will face justice through our independent legal and judicial systems, regardless of their status. No one is above the law. Our courts adjudicate impartially on the legal and factual issues involved in each case according to the law, regardless of the nature of the controversy or the parties involved. If a party is dissatisfied with a court's ruling, there are legal avenues available, including the right to appeal. It is essential to remember that public commentary on cases currently under trial or appeal is inappropriate, as it undermines the sub judice principle. Comments made with the intent to pressure judges to deliver a specific outcome blatantly distort the course of justice and are a direct affront to the rule of law. Another aspect of the legal profession's role under this new era that can be enhanced is the scale and impact of this world. Think big. Under one country, two systems, Hong Kong SAR is the only common law jurisdiction in China and the only English-Chinese bilingual jurisdictions in the world. Hong Kong lawyers proficient in both Chinese and English, proficient in both languages, play the role of super connectors between the mainland and international clients. Coupled with extensive international experience, familiarity with global standards, and an expansive global network, we actively address complex legal challenges. With this distinctive advantage, the legal professions possess all the necessary qualities to think big. As part of China, we benefit from an expansive mainland market, while simultaneously being a globally recognized international financial and legal service hub, with extensive connections worldwide. Hong Kong has been enjoying preferential treatment to gain greater access to the mainland market under the Mainland and Hong Kong Coastal Economic Partnership Agreement, CEPA. On the business level, Hong Kong legal professionals provide the necessary legal support to help mainland enterprise expand outside China and foreign investors to tap into vast potential of the mainland market. On a macro level, through collaborations with their counterparts in the mainland and acting as navigators and advisors to mainland's outbound investors, Hong Kong legal professionals are instrumental in accelerating the mainland's integration with the world economy using Hong Kong as a springboard, enriching the mainland's foreign-related capabilities and aligning domestic governance standards with international standards. In this way, not only can we make two systems work within one country, we can also create impactful synergy between the two systems for the benefit of one country. As the President of the Law Society of Hong Kong, I now wish to address the role of the Law Society in this new era. The solicitor's profession is a self-regulatory profession. As a professional body for a self-regulatory profession, the Law Society deals with three aspects of regulations, namely admission to the solicitor's profession, legal practice as solicitors, and discipline for professional misconduct. Apart from these regular rules, I recognize that our additional responsibilities are becoming increasingly important in this new era. Self-regulation is seen as vital to the maintenance of the independence of the profession. The independence of the profession will give the public confidence that it can take an objective view and effectively uphold the rule of law. This is particularly important when our systems are under close scrutiny in the geopolitical climate, and the Law Society will strive to preserve the profession's self-regulatory status. The rapid advancement in technology continues to astonish us. The latest being the power of generative intelligence, AI, particularly for professions that rely on cognitive and linguistic skills like the legal profession. I have often been asked whether the law is still a career worth considering. As stated in the Law Society's position paper on the impact of artificial intelligence on the legal profession issued in January 2024, AI will not replace lawyers. It will only augment legal practice. It is imperative that we understand, apply, and ethically integrate this technology while managing its associated risks. While much attention has been paid on AI these days, I wish to highlight another equally important aspect under this new era. My lifelong passion has always been to raise awareness and of the uniqueness of the legal practice under one country, two systems, and to help to nurture a new generation of legal professionals who appreciate the differences of the two coexisting systems and are therefore able to leverage the strengths and contain the limitations. I believe cultivating this cadre of superconnectors through educational programs and professional exchange is an important long-term strategy. The Law Society has organized many youth activities facilitating exchange and interaction between the two jurisdictions to deepen mutual understanding of areas where the two can complement each other to create greater impact. During my recent duty visit to the UK in October 2024 for the opening legal year, I had the privilege of hosting a sharing session with the Economic and Trade Office. It was inspiring to meet students studying abroad and who expressed their commitment to returning to Hong Kong to practice law after their studies. This enthusiasm is a testament to the enduring spirit of one country, two systems. As these future legal professionals are eager to contribute to our unique legal landscape and help bridge our systems with the world. Together, we can nurture a vibrant legal community that not only upholds our values, but also inspires the next generations to reach new heights. Being one of the safest cities in the world, Hong Kong has long been distinguished by its citizens' profound respect for and love of the law. According to the World Justice Project Rule of Law Index 2024, out of 142 jurisdictions, Hong Kong ranks 9 for order and security, reflecting how well a society ensures the safety of persons and property, and 16 for regulatory enforcement, which assess fairness and effectiveness of regulations. The legal profession plays a vital role in supporting the fair administration of justice and upholding the rule of law. Not only are lawyers legally trained, but also, as Sir Thomas Bingham said, quote, "It is required of lawyers practicing in this country that they should discharge their professional duties with integrity, probity, and complete trustworthiness." End of quote. I was deeply moved when I recently witnessed the solemn swarm at the admission ceremony by our new members, who committing to conduct themselves in the practice of solicitor, according to the best of their knowledge and ability. The public holds high expectation for the legal profession, and I am confident that we can live up to that expectation. The implementation of one country, two systems in accordance with the basic law has enabled Hong Kong to continue to flourish, enjoying unwavering support under one country and the unique advantage of maintaining its common law tradition and existing way of life under two systems. We should be proud. Let us strive to bring it to a new height. Thank you.
主禮人士即將離場，請各位繼續安坐，至主禮人士完全離場。Please remain seated until the whole official party has exited from the hall. 主禮人士即將離場，請各位繼續安坐，至主禮人士完全離場。